Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking a closer look at something you literally look through every single time you drive.
Yeah.
But you probably never think about it until, a rock flies up and disaster strikes. Your windshield.
It really does sound like the definition of a mundane topic, doesn't it? But you sent us a stack of sources about windshield replacement, specifically focused on Portland, Oregon, and it's fascinating. The glass in front of you is now one of the most technologically complex and really structurally critical components of your vehicle.
Absolutely. So our mission today is simple. We are unpacking the true cost, the complex tech, and the surprisingly crucial safety role of modern windshields. This is not just about a sheet of laminated glass anymore.
Not at all. It's about integrated systems, digital sensors, and a structural integrity that, is designed to protect your life. And we really need to help you understand why a seemingly simple repair can range so wildly in price. We're talking from a couple $100s to nearly $1,000, and what the serious life-altering safety implications are if that installation quality is compromised. The complexity has just skyrocketed.
And speaking of that price tag, here's the initial shock fact from the sources. The replacement cost for a typical vehicle in the Portland area is between $200 and $500. But if you have something luxury or specialty or even just a car that's newer than 5 years old, that price can easily hit $800 or more. That's a huge variance. What is driving that range?
Well, the primary determinants are still the basics you'd expect, the vehicle's year, make, and model. But the real game changer is all the advanced technology that manufacturers have started embedding directly into the glass itself.
Okay, let's geek out on those features for a second, because the sources had this amazing list of things that suddenly drive up the cost. We're talking about that little black box near your rearview mirror, right? The one with the rain sensors?
Yep, the rain sensors. And then you have heads-up displays.
Right, the ones that project your speed onto the glass.
Exactly. And heated elements, and of course the most significant one, the housing for the cameras used in your driver assistance systems.
So each one of those little things adds another layer of complexity.
A layer of required precision, and when you get a replacement quote, that explains why the glass itself, just the raw material, represents a huge chunk of the bill. We're talking 40 to 60% of the total price, and that's before a technician even touches the car.
And within that cost for the glass, the sources draw a really critical line between two options: original equipment manufacturer or OEM glass, and then the aftermarket alternatives. What's the real difference for the person behind the wheel?
That's a great question. OEM glass is, it's guaranteed to be from the exact same supplier that made the original windshield for the factory. It costs more, yeah, but it ensures a perfect fit, zero distortion, and crucially, it preserves your vehicle's structural integrity and the optics for those cameras exactly as the manufacturer specified.
And the aftermarket ones?
Aftermarket alternatives are designed to fit, of course, but sometimes you can get small alignment issues or, in rarer cases, inferior bonding materials.
What's fascinating here, and the sources pointed this out, is that a lot of comprehensive insurance policies will actually cover an OEM replacement. They won't even make you pay the cost difference out of pocket.
It's a huge discovery for the listener. It basically removes the financial incentive to choose a cheaper, potentially less precise option. If safety is your priority, and it should be, checking your policy and demanding OEM is a vital step.
Okay, so that's the glass. What about the labor? It's not just popping one out and putting a new one in, right?
Not at all. It involves carefully removing the old glass, meticulously prepping the frame, and then the very precise application of a specialized urethane adhesive. That's what bonds the glass to the car.
And this is where that local Portland context really matters. All the rain, the wet months.
Yes, exactly. That urethane adhesive, it's a chemical reaction. It needs a specific environment to cure properly. If it's not applied correctly, or if moisture gets into that bond before the full cure time is met, you are risking failure.
And why does the rain matter so much? Is it just about leaks?
It's way more than leaks. If that initial bond is compromised by too much moisture or, temperature extremes, the structural integrity of the entire vehicle can be compromised. Portland's consistent dampness just accelerates the potential for that adhesive to fail, which can lead to rust on the frame. And in a worst-case scenario, it compromises the seal that holds the glass in place during an accident.
Wow. Okay, so that structural bond is the foundation. But let's move to the next layer of complexity, because this brings us directly into the biggest emerging cost factor, the one that adds hundreds to the bill, the ADAS effect.
That is the absolute game changer. ADAS stands for Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
So for anyone listening, this is the tech behind things like automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control.
All of it, lane keeping assistance, all those features, they rely on cameras and sensors positioned right behind the windshield. When you replace that glass, even with an identical piece, those systems must be recalibrated.
So we're not just swapping glass, we're doing like precise surgery on the car's sensory system. I love the analogy of a high-end camera lens. If it's tilted just slightly, the whole image is ruined.
That's a perfect analogy. And in this case, a ruined image means your car might completely misread a hazard on the road. The glass dictates the precise focal distance and alignment. If it's off by even a millimeter, your lane-keeping assist might constantly nudge you. Or worse.
What's worse?
Worse is your automatic emergency braking system might fail to recognize a stopped car. Or it could falsely slam on the brakes because it misinterprets a shadow on the road.
So if that recalibration is missed, does the car just lose the feature or does it become actively dangerous?
Oh, it becomes actively dangerous. A non-functional safety system is one thing. A misaligned safety system that gives the driver faulty information or brakes erratically is a huge liability. The sources say this specialized service adds typically $100 to $300 to the total bill.
And it's not just the glass and the A's. I saw a note in the sources about smaller costs too, like moldings and clips.
Right, the little trim pieces, they often need to be replaced because they can get brittle and break during the removal of the old glass. Transparency is key here. A quality shop in Portland will give you one comprehensive quote that includes all of it. If a quote seems suspiciously low, you should immediately question if they're skipping the ADAS recalibration or maybe using a cheap, fast-curing adhesive.
And that skepticism, that leads us directly to our next section, which shifts focus from money to something far more important.
Yeah.
Safety. For most drivers, I think the windshield is just weather protection.
And that perception is dangerously outdated. Modern windshields are a critical structural component of your car. This is the detail that surprises people the most.
The crucial statistic from the sources is just astonishing. A compromised or poorly installed windshield provides up to 45% of your vehicle's structural strength in a rollover. 45%. That is nearly half the roof's integrity.
Think about that. In a rollover, if that urethane bond fails, the roof can crush inwards so much more easily. That bond has to be perfect to distribute the force correctly across the frame.
And there's a second vital safety rule, right? It's about airbag deployment.
Exactly. The passenger side airbag, it actually deploys by banking off the windshield. If the glass fails under that immense pressure, the airbag might not protect the passenger. It might just pop the glass right out of the frame.
Which is why the sources stress that quality is absolutely non-negotiable. Substandard installation, especially in a place like Portland with the humidity, you're risking not just leaks, but catastrophic windshield ejection during an accident.
It's a terrifying thought. The airbag deploys with explosive force and the entire windshield just flies out, leaving the occupants completely exposed. The minimal savings from a discount shop are just not worth that kind of risk.
And this brings us right back to why OEM glass is so important, especially for these ADS-equipped cars.
It's all connected. The OEM glass guarantees the exact specifications for the cameras, yes, but also the exact thickness and strength for that structural bond and airbag protection. You should really look for shops that follow the Auto Glass Safety Council, the AGSC guidelines. That's your seal of quality.
Okay, let's walk through the actual timeline and the dreaded paperwork, because that's often where people hesitate and just put the repair off.
Yeah.
How long does this all take?
Well, the physical installation of the glass itself is pretty quick, usually 60 to 90 minutes. But if you have an ADS-equipped vehicle that needs recalibration, the total appointment time might be more like 2 to 3 hours.
And after it's installed, what's the waiting game? How long until you can drive?
It's all about that urethane adhesive. The good news is that modern urethanes reach what's called safe-to-drive strength within about 60 minutes, but you have to follow the technician's guidance.
So you can drive, but there are rules.
There are rules. The adhesive still needs a full 24 hours to reach its ultimate structural strength. The technicians will give you specific drive-away instructions based on Portland's humidity and temperature that day. Following them is what ensures you get that critical 45% structural rating we talked about.
Okay, now for the insurance advantage. This is huge for our listeners in Oregon. The sources highlight that most comprehensive auto policies cover windshield replacement with a zero deductible in Oregon.
This is crucial. Your out-of-pocket cost could genuinely be zero. It removes the biggest barrier for people. And filing the claim typically doesn't affect your insurance rates. It's a no-fault comprehensive claim, not a collision.
So the insurance companies actually want you to get it fixed.
They do. They understand the high-stakes safety role. They know a compromised windshield increases the risk of a much more expensive, catastrophic claim down the road. They want that structure intact.
And working with an insurance-approved shop makes it all seamless.
Completely. They handle the direct billing, they verify your coverage, they manage all the paperwork. Most customers are in and out, and with that zero deductible, they often pay nothing.
And for those who hesitate, who think, oh, I can wait a few weeks on this tiny chip, what do the sources say?
They give a big reality check. First, driving with damage that impairs your view is actually illegal in Oregon. And second, that small chip is a ticking clock.
Especially with Portland's potholes.
Exactly. Thermal stress from temperature changes or just the vibration from a pothole can turn a small, repairable chip into a massive, full replacement crack, sometimes overnight. The window to get a small chip repaired closes really, really fast. Don't delay.
This deep dive has really synthesized the message, I think. Replacing your windshield today is so much less about shopping for the cheapest price. It's more about making a safety investment in your car's structural integrity and its advanced technology.
Exactly. The two major takeaways are pretty clear. First, you have to understand your vehicle's specific ADS needs and make sure recalibration is on the quote. And second, recognize that critical quality difference between OEM and aftermarket glass, and know that your insurance probably makes the whole process much simpler than you think.
So what does this all mean for the driver? It seems like the technology and the structural stakes are only going to go up, demanding just absolute precision in this process.
And this raises a really important question for you, the vehicle owner, to carry forward. If your vehicle's structural integrity, if its advanced safety systems, if they rely so heavily on proper installation and specific materials, how do you actually verify that the technicians servicing your increasingly complex vehicle are truly staying current? With all the evolving manufacturer requirements and the latest safety standards, that's the critical piece of due diligence worth mulling over.
Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us as we took the deep dive into the surprisingly complex world of modern auto glass. We will see you on the next dive.